Hey, we're back again, and this is an opportunity to hear God's story echoing through the history of mankind, echoing through all of history. We've been trying to encourage each other every time we get together that these stories are part of one grand story, a grand narrative, some people call it. And these are specifically not just passages from the Bible, these are different passages that are putting together the larger story. So today we're looking from Exodus 16 to 34 and then Deuteronomy 4 to 7. And we're right in the heart of the Old Testament, and this is one of the famous stories as we look at the law and the commands that God gave his people. And we're going to see this continuing picture of how God is caring for his people. He's literally walking them through the desert and teaching them and bringing them to their land, their place that he's given to them. Of course, lots of, as we talked about last time, lots of foreshadowing, lots of pictures, but really, really powerful stuff. So listen close, and as I said before, the story of God is unique. It has twists and it has turns, but listen with new ears. See it, I know that you're hearing it, but see it with fresh eyes. And it's your opportunity to see and hear what God is doing. Stay tuned.
Law and commands. It wasn't long after the Israelites left Egypt that they began complaining again to Moses. They complained about not having enough to eat and not having enough water to drink. They kept nagging him, asking, "Why did you make us leave Egypt? We had plenty to eat and drink there. Did you lead us into the wilderness to die?" Moses cried out to God, "What am I going to do with these people? They're about to kill me." So each time the Israelites ran out of food or water, God provided for them through a miracle. He sent birds to their camp for them to eat. He covered the ground with a flaky bread-like food, and he even made water pour out of a rock for them to drink. 2 months after leaving Egypt, the Israelites set up camp at the base of Mount Sinai. Moses climbed up the mountain so he could meet with God. There, God spoke to him, saying, "Tell my people this, you saw how I carried you on eagle's wings and rescued you from Egypt. Now, if you obey me and keep my covenant, you will be my treasured people, a kingdom of priests, set apart to represent me." When Moses came down the mountain, he told the people what God had said. They all agreed, "We will do everything that God asks us to do." Then God told Moses, "Gather the Israelites at the base of the mountain so I can speak to them." As the people gathered, God warned them, "Do not climb the mountain or even touch it, or you will be put to death." Right then, a powerful storm rolled in, and a dark cloud covered the mountain. God spoke to them from a blazing fire on top of the mountain, giving these commands. "I am your God who rescued you from slavery in Egypt. Put me above everything else. Do not worship other things. Do not misuse or disrespect my name. Remember to set aside a day each week to rest and worship me. Honor your parents. Don't murder or steal or lie. Do not sleep with anyone but your husband or your wife. Be faithful. Don't lust after what others have. Be satisfied with what I give you." As God spoke, the people trembled with fear and moved away from the mountain. Moses told them, "Don't be afraid. God is showing you he is awesome power. From now on, let your fear of him keep you from sinning." As the people stood in the distance, Moses climbed up into the dark cloud. Up on the mountain, God gave Moses more instructions, called laws, to give to Israel. These laws gave specific details about things like how to treat your neighbors and your enemies, how to handle conflict, what is fair punishment, when to work and when to rest, when to celebrate and worship, and what offerings are acceptable to God. Another time, Moses went up on the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights with his helper Joshua. God gave Moses 2 stone tablets. On these tablets were the details of the covenant written by God's finger. While Moses was away on the mountain, the people went to his brother Aaron and said, "We don't know what has happened to Moses. Make us a god that can see who will lead us." So Aaron created an idol in the shape of a golden calf and put it on the altar for them to worship. He told them, "Here is the God that saved you from Egypt." The next day, the people had a wild party as they worshipped the golden calf. When God saw how the Israelites were acting, he said to Moses, "I have seen enough stubbornness and rebellion from these people. I am going to destroy all of them with fire and create a new nation from your children." But Moses begged God not to kill them, and God withdrew his threat and allowed them to live. When Moses returned to camp and saw the people worshiping the calf, he was so angry that he smashed the stone tablets on the ground. Then he took the calf, ground it up into powder, mixed it with water, and made the people drink it. The next day, Moses returned to the mountain to ask God to forgive his people. God responded, "Whoever has sinned against me must be punished." And God sent a plague to punish those who had worshipped the calf. About 3,000 of the Israelites died from this plague. Soon after that, God also said to Moses, "I am full of mercy and grace. I am slow to get angry and full of love and faithfulness. I show my love by forgiving rebellion and sin, but I will not let sin go unpunished. This is the covenant I will make with the people of Israel. I will show my awesome power through you and remove those who oppose you, but you must always listen to me and obey my commands." Moses met with God for another 40 days and 40 nights. On a new set of tablets, God wrote the details of how to live in his covenant. Moses gave these tablets to the people of Israel so they could follow them, live in his ways, and enjoy his blessings.
Hey, welcome back. And I bet you could say, "Hey, I remember watching that with my parents. I know I've heard some of you tell me that you watched the 10 Commandments. That was a very, very famous movie when it was on TV. And it's funny how even to this day, they're still playing that. Different people have tried to depict this in different ways, but it's a hard scene to get in your mind of this picture of God giving his laws and his commands and the revelry and the things that were going on in the midst of this. To me, I love this story from the perspective of a famous line. Sorry, I feel like it's famous. A line that I use a lot is that in the midst of our situation is where God meets us. So let's look at some questions for this and give you some opportunity to look at them. Again, please look on the website if you want to find these afterwards. So simple question, this was from before too. What is a covenant? So what was the covenant that God was talking about? And who was it given to originally? And guess what? We've talked about that already, so you need to go back and check that out. The Israelites, how do you think, how can they keep their side of the covenant? And this is actually a really, really big deal. And it says, would God remove his covenant if they did not obey him? Really, really important in the story of God and what's going on here. What do you think God meant by saying, you will become a kingdom of priests? Another one, what's the purpose of the commandments and the laws? So why were they needed? Why do you think God is so specific about these things? Yeah, don't mess up. We do this today. We try to narrow things down and make it easier. Jesus did it. He summarized the law and the prophets, but it's asking it really, again, why do we need these specific kind of things? Which of these commandments do you think is the hardest to keep? Right? Four vertical, and 6 horizontal. Do you find the vertical ones or the horizontal ones easier to keep? And what do you think it means to lust after what others have? It's in that translation that they used. Coveting is another word that is used for that, to lust after what others have. And I've already given this one away. What do God's commandments and laws show us about him? Those vertical ones, what do they show us about him? And This one of perhaps is the most important. What's the result of following God's ways? And where have you seen that in these stories? Hey, as we wrap up for today, you're hearing a story, you're looking at some questions. It's that unique opportunity to engage with the Word of God. Please, I know that I've done this. I will put on my Bible tape, or I will let the Bible app play on my phone so I can listen to the Word of God. Thank you for listening to the Word of God. But this series is about listening for the voice of God through His Word. The over and over and over again, the echo of what He's telling us. Life is in the blood. Life is sacred. He is to be obeyed. This whole picture of He provided for Adam and Eve in the garden even though they had sinned against Him. What are we learning about God? What are we learning in these stories? We'll see you next time. Just want to remember and encourage you that I am the pastor of youth and young adults. I love to hear from you and to spend time journeying with you on this journey as we discover these things. Take care.